Welcome to the Spike Camp podcast. Spike Camp is a free online community for hunters that support conservation. It's a great place to share stories and your experience with other hunters. As a member of Spike Camp, you get access to all of our hunting live streams, discussion channels, contests, hunter resources, and events that we host. Membership to Spike Camp is free. Our only ask is that you are a member of a hunting or conservation group before you register. Head over to spikecamp.com to join us.
All right, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Camp Chat. Got a really exciting evening planned here, talking about some adventure hunts with our good buddy Mark Gushattey. Before we get into that, just a couple quick housekeeping notes. Just a reminder, we're still running a predator hunting picture and story contest till the end of March, and it's been kind of quiet. I haven't seen a lot of pictures and stories about predators. I'm hoping that we're doing our part and helping the ungulates out there. So the other one to remember, we have the monthly member rewards prize. The contest is running for the month of February, and our prize is an Everly stock, just one backpack. So get on the platform, engage, get some points. And the big one, I think you've probably seen or heard about it already, been promoted here for the last couple weeks, but April 1st is the 2-year anniversary of Spike Camp. And we're celebrating that. So we have partnered up with Bosveld Jacob Safaris to give away a 10-day fully guided hunt for two in South Africa. And this is a package that includes 2 impala and 2 wildebeest, one each for each hunter. It's a great deal. It's a great package. I hunted with these guys last year, and I'm going back in 26. And there's lots of guys from the BC wild sheep community that have been there as well. And Rian Jacobs is going to be at the show in Penticton, so if you want to talk to him about what they do, he has a booth there, and I'll probably be hanging around our booth as well. So we're going to draw the winner of that on April 7th, 2025. My wife and I are going to be there, like I mentioned, in May of 26. So who knows? Maybe we can hunt together or cross paths when we're over there. So it's super easy contest. All you have to do, I was joking the other day on an Instagram post, all you need is to be a member of Spike Camp and have a pulse, and you've got an entry. Simple as that. And if you are a member, you get 1 entry. If you refer somebody, you get a bonus entry, and you can refer as many of your friends as you like. The only thing we ask is that the people you bring on board are a member of a conservation group. So anyway, speaking of international hunts, tonight's guest literally does more international hunting than anybody I know or have ever known. Mark, welcome back to the show, buddy.
Glad to be back.
Awesome. I've been playing the text game with you for a while. If I'm bored and I want to find out if someone else is out there doing something exciting, I just text you and say, where are you and what are you killing, man? It's unbelievable.
It's awesome. Try to have fun.
I was joking. I was talking to Blake the other day, and I said, if I was to be born again, I want to be born again as Mark Gushattey, because you're living it, dude. Anyway, we got you back on, and literally we had you on here. I don't know, it was about a year ago, probably about a year ago. We did our international camp series, and we brought you on to talk about your strategy and stuff on how you get your hunts booked and how you find them. And I thought, well, I got to get you back on and tell some stories. So we could do a live stream series just on some of the hunts you've got. So I'm just going to hit a couple things, some of the notes that I've got, and then we're going to circle back and kind of pick away at some of these and unpack them. So first off, you told me today that you are 1 Dall sheep away from your 2nd North American Grand Slam, right?
Correct, yeah.
Right on. That's cool. And then you also went on to tell me that you're 6 animals short of the North American 29.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. And you have, on the Capra and Ovis side of things, on the international stage, you've got 9 Capra and 7 Ovis. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
And what do you need for the World Slam? I don't know much about it, but I know it's
the World Slams that they have are from Grand Slam Club Ovis. They're 12 different species of either a Capra or an Ovis. They have 2 different World Slams, one's for each. And once you have 12, then they have milestones of like 20, 30, 40, and 50
Mhm.
the cap. It's just there's so many different of those species out there, and they're all unique and different, live in different areas, different habitat, different countries, and it's really neat to go and chase them and experience the whole adventure that comes along with a lot of those hunts. They're different territories, like the people, the languages, the mountains are different, the food's different, everything's a little bit different, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you and I've chatted about this before, but the whole international hunting scene, it doesn't matter where you go. As soon as you need your passport in your pocket to go on a hunt, it changes the game, right? Like it's now something new. It's crazy. It's an adventure.
Yeah, like it's a lot of times too, like the journey is just as exciting as like the hunting. Like I was in Tajikistan. It was 2 days of flying and it was 2 days of driving. And like we traveled for, must have been 14 hours or so. Like we landed, it was 23 hours of driving from Dushanbe to the hunting camp. And like of that, 10 to 12 of them are right along the Afghanistan border. You're driving down the river, right in the river bottom, and it's just sheer mountain cliffs on either side. And like legitimate, like you're seeing Taliban camps on the other side of the river, and just you can see where these people cross back and forth, and everyone just goes along with their lives, and we're worried about all these things, and they're just worried about surviving, and it's just unique and different, and like kind of traveling back in time a lot of times when you're going to these different places and seeing these different things.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then you've got so many like cultural barriers to get over, right? Like the obvious one is language.
Yep.
But the company I work for has me travel a lot for international. I manage a group, 14 countries.
Yep.
And my boss told me years ago when I first took the job, he gave me some interesting advice. He said, when you're in a foreign country and you're trying to communicate with the people, it's more important. What you should think about, don't worry about the language barrier. Worry more about what you say or do that could insult or do something that basically insults their culture.
Yeah.
Learn more about that than the language, because there's a universal language of hand signs, and everybody speaks US dollars too, so there's always that, right?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of times it's like if your attitude, and like we went to an Afghan market, we're driving down the road and the driver spoke decent English. He's like, "The market over here, you want to go?" It's like, why not? So we went there, and like half of the people there were from Afghanistan. There's probably a whole bunch of people that were, in quotation, Taliban guys, and you never noticed. Like everyone was all polite, everyone was all waving at you, and here, want to try this or anything like that. Like it was really neat, and not at one point were you ever uncomfortable or you ever feel threatened or scared. It's neat. Like if your attitude's good, a lot of people treat you well, and you have a great time.
Yeah, for sure. So I got so many things I want to talk to you about, but before I want to circle back to the Grand Slam, and we'll get into that. But I'm just curious, what was your first? I might have asked you this on the last show, but refresh my memory. What was your first big international hunt?
The first international hunt I did, I went to Greenland and did a muskox hunt over there. And I got that idea. The first out of province hunt I did, like I'm from Alberta, so the first out of province hunt I did was a moose caribou mountain goat combo in BC with Ron Fleming and Brendan Nelson. It was like a cancellation hunt. I got an email at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. I don't know why I ever looked at it. And you know what? I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I want to go and do this. And one of the kickers was that I got to go hunting with Craig and Donna Boddington, who were
Right. Yeah, you told us that.
So when I was on that hunt there, I was asking Craig, I'm like, and Don, I'm like, what would you do if you were me and you want to go on your first international hunt? They're like, go and do a Greenland muskox hunt. So I found one, I booked it, and me and two buddies went and did it. We had a great time. It was a unique experience even going there. Like, you're going to the Arctic, you're learning, sure, the cold weather and everything like that here is great to kind of be accustomed to, but just the cultural and just the difference of being in the Arctic. And really good to learn, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, well, we're going to circle back to that. We'll come back to some of the international stuff because you got some great stories. But I'm curious about your first quest for Grand Slam. You walk us through the North American Grand Slam, that is. Walk us through the 4 sheep hunts and just give us kind of the highlights and where you started and how you got into that.
My first one that I went on was the first sheep hunt that I was successful on. Like, I did a couple of short, like, day trips here in Alberta. But the first one I really went on a dedicated sheep hunt. I went on a desert sheep hunt in Mexico. So I found one on an auction, and I missed winning it on the auction. And then I contacted the guy and said, do you have another tag by chance? And he said, yes. So that was my first one. I went to Mexico. I did a desert sheep hunt from Hermosillo towards the coast there, right across from Tiburon Island. And I think it was on day 3 or 4, and I got lucky and I found a ram and we got her done. And that was kind of the start of it. And that was in 2020. And that was just the start of when COVID kicked in. So when COVID turned into a full-blown thing, me and a friend of mine, we were talking and we're like, maybe we should get a hold of some of these outfitters because they might have some opportunities for us to go and do some hunts. And he was doing a bunch of research, and we ended up, my friend, I had one I was trying to get on with going with Midnight Sun, and he's like, I got Dan Reynolds' number. He said, this is where we got to go. So I'm like, I've never done one of these hunts, and you say this is where we got to go, I believe you. So we went with Dan, and I got my doll that year. That being 2020. Came back and I tried doing a bighorn hunt here. We seen a good one, like probably like a 175 to 180 class ram on the first day of that hunt. So we decided, instead of looking for any other ones, we want to see if we can get this big guy. But we couldn't track him down, and he gave us a slip. So that was an unsuccessful one. And I was talking in the meantime with Kyle Stelter's a good buddy of mine from the Jurassic Classic and the Wild Sheep Society of BC. And he's like, you should try seeing if you can do it all in 1 year. So when COVID was still going on, I still had all these relationships with all the outfitter friends that I had. And I said, if COVID's kicking around, still going on, I'd love to do sheep hunts with them. So I ended up going with Brenda and Ron for my stone sheep. I did that on the opener. Then I went back to Reynolds, did another sheep hunt there, got my doll, I was a fan in there, and then got my bighorn when I came back, and then I went back to Mexico and got a second desert bighorn sheep, all kind of within like 4 months. It was a hectic, crazy time, but it was capitalized on opportunities when they're there, and I got lucky.
I guess so. Yeah, that's crazy when you think about, when COVID hit. Just speaking on that for a couple minutes.
Yep.
There were so many opportunities for the last minute Canadian residents to really cash in on opportunities with our outfitters up north, right? Like, you think now, like, look at what was the price of for example, your stone sheep hunt, what was the price of that in 2017-18 versus 2025, right?
Oh, yeah, like they were probably 40 grand then, and now they're in the 100,000 plus.
Yeah.
Same with like all the sheep prices have gone high. Like, if you're looking to doing a non-resident bighorn hunt in Alberta, it's like 100 grand now. We're close to it. It's a lot of money. It's a big commitment, big investment.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, which one was your favorite of those 4? What
They're all.
hunt do you think about the most?
There, honestly, I can't think of one that I say is better than the other, but they all have their own challenges. Like the stones are hard to find, but like I did a backpack hunt. We were 3 days of hiking before we even got to the Stone Sheep area.
Mm-hmm.
And we put the work in, and we got lucky, and we got a 12-year-old ram on the kind of the, what would have been like the third day. When I did my ones in the Yukon, I put lots of miles on. I think the first time I was up there, I killed my sheep on day 9 out of 10. And then the second time I was up there, I think it was day 6 or 7. So you got to earn them. There's lots of hiking and backpacking and climbing up and down mountains and having, and you put your sweat into it and you earn them. The Rockies here are, they're hard. Like the Rocky hunts in Alberta are real difficult because like what we've always, or what I've found with a lot of them is like the mature rams are all broomed short. So like you'll find a nice ram, big, heavy, old one, and you can't shoot them. So they all present their own challenges. And even I just got back. I went and helped a friend in Mexico get his Grand Slam, and he went with my buddies down there. And even the Mexican, everyone thinks, oh, desert bighorn sheep hunts a walk in the park, but those things are incredibly hard to find. You're hiking when it's plus 37 degrees Celsius out. They can just move, go over a ridge, and you'll never ever find them again. They'll just disappear. They have so many places to hide that you'll never find them, or you'll bump them and you'll scare them out of the county, and you'll never ever find them again. So it's a difficult. They all have their own challenges and difficulties. They're all really rewarding when you're successful, but you got to earn them all. Like they're all a lot of work, and no sheep hunts a walk in the park.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. So on the second slam, so you've got the doll left, right, for the fourth one?
Yeah.
Where was your bighorn then? Was it Alberta?
Yeah,
Alberta. The second one?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was a do-it-yourselfer?
No, actually, I went with an outfitter here. So, like, I went on a resident guided hunt for that one. So, like, I have friends that are outfitters here, and they take residents beginning of the season or the end of the season. So, it just, I'm so busy with work that it's hard to get away and do lots of, like, the scouting. And basically, they have all the horses, they have the camps, and you have to find them yourselves. Like, basically, guys think that you're going on a guided hunt. It's just a walk in the park. It's like, oh, the outfitter's going to know where these sheep are, and you're just going to go there on day one and kill them. That's not the case. Like, you got to find those rams. There's residents pushing them around everywhere. They're not easy. And, like, I think mine, I killed it on, like, the 14th day of a 10-day hunt. Like, I had no more days I could stay there. And we found it at the last chance. I had the last day possible to hunt, and we ended up getting him. It was, we left our camp at like 4 a.m, and I don't think we got back till midnight the next day. Like, it was a long, grueling ordeal just to finally get it done. But it's mentally hard. Like, you're thinking that you see these rams, okay, we're just gonna sneak in and we're gonna get that big old double broomer, and he's half an inch short on both sides. And you look at him, you're like, there's no way that one's not legal. It's just like, it's short. It's short. Like, you can't shoot him then, and some of those rams will never, ever, ever be legal to harvest because they're broomed so short back. But it's part of the challenge that comes along with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask this question, but Brecken, one of our members, is asking it. What, with the North American Sheep Grand Slam, which one of those species is your favorite species? Is there one that sticks out more?
Honestly, I like the desert bighorn hunting. It's fun, like, because it's a lot of spotting. Like, you got to put the time in glassing and spotting them. But they're all good. Like, the hardest, I would say, is the hardest one is the Rockies. Like, just for the fact that you find mature rams and you can't shoot them. Stone's a lot of fun, and the dolls are fantastic. You're just in kind of different country, different mountains. The mountains, like where those thin horns aren't as steep and rugged. But you have to put on more miles, more boot miles to find them in the first place. But the deserts are fun. Like, I've gotten to be pretty good at spotting them. I can pick them out just about as quick as my Mexican buddies. So it's fun. That's a lot of fun going down there, and it's just the weather's a little bit different. It's a good escape and getaway. Like, it was minus 35 here and plus 30 down there. So how can you go wrong? You're not freezing your balls off going down to Mexico. That's definitely a plus. And that's one of the unique things that's different than all the rest is you're hunting in really good weather. The biggest thing you got to worry about is wind or the moon, but it's a nice getaway, nice kind of change from some of the other ones. Like, even in Tajikistan, I think it was minus 45 overnight. Like, it was cold.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Before we jump along any further, I just want to make a note tonight. Blake is going to be picking a prize winner based on questions. He's going to do a random. He's going to select a random member who's asked a question. So Brecken, you're in first. So we're going to give away some coffee later on. Some our buddy Wardo's This Is Coffee, backpacking coffee. All right, cool. Well, let's jump over. I want to talk about the North American 29. That is a feat because you can get from what I've heard. I don't know too many guys that have actually achieved the 29, but you can knock a lot of them off the list fairly quickly. And then there's some that are just like super hard. So my first question is, when did you decide that personal challenge to go after the 29?
After COVID. Like, after COVID, I got a lot of the kind of, in quotation, expensive ones done and hard ones. So, like, with like the resident hunts I've done here in Alberta, the ones in BC, then I got all the sheep. I shot a polar bear during COVID. It was like I got the hard ones and the expensive ones done. Let's just get the rest of them now. And like, there's ways too where you can kind of maximize your value with your money. Like, this year, I went to California and shot a tule elk. I shot a cow instead of shooting a bull. I think the cow tag was $4,500 compared to shooting a 280-inch bull for $40,000.
Yeah.
So it's like I could take that money that I went and could have spent on shooting a bull tule elk, and I can go shoot a Marco Polo instead. So it's kind of maximizing your value on and still kind of accomplishing those goals. There's one guy I know that he finished his Super Slam last year, and I think he shot 3 females on his.
Okay.
I know another guy with 2 on theirs. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like, same thing going to California. You never think that it'd be a good hunting destination. It was a blast. I went with Don Martin. He's involved with the Wild Sheep Foundation, really, really big. And we had a great time. It was so relaxing. It was a good weekend getaway. I think, it was only 3 or 4 day hunt. And I know it was lots of fun. Good time. And California, same thing. It was, weather's fantastic. Not your typical hunting weather here in Canada where it's minus 30. And it's a good change and just different scenery and just wholly different atmosphere.
So what do you have left on that list? You said you got about 6 left, I think, right?
Yeah, I have a central barren ground caribou, a woodland caribou. I have those 2 lined up to get done this year. I have Shiras moose. I have that lined up. I have a brown bear. I have that lined up. I have the barren ground caribou. I have that lined up, and I have a Sitka blacktail. And I have them all basically booked for this year and next year to get them done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where are you going for the different species of caribou? Whereabouts are those?
I go to Newfoundland for a woodland caribou. I'm doing that. I'm doing a Eastern Canadian moose as well over there. I'm doing a central barren ground caribou in Nunavut with the guys that I hunted my walrus with. The barren ground caribou I'm doing up in the Yukon with Reynolds. My brown bear hunt, I'm going to the peninsula with the gentleman I went with before, Phil Bird. He's fantastic. And then I'm doing the Sitka blacktail in Alaska on Kodiak. That's this, I think, October. Yeah, October's going to kind of be busy, but that kind of rounds it all up. And then the Shiras I'm doing here in Alberta, Shiras moose, pulling that tag this year.
Is that so? That'll be a draw tag then for you there.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, like anything south of Highway 1 for Boone Crockett, not Boone Crockett, but for Grand Slam and Safari Club, I believe they're considered those Shiras.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably a good thing to get those caribou out of the way while you still can, right? I mean, that's got to be one of the sketchiest situations out there with caribou, right?
Yeah, the caribou was just so many areas are getting shut down. Like those opportunities are just getting taken away. The Quebec one got shut down. And yeah, like I always thought that if I was ever going to get any of the quotation slams, it was going to be a caribou one. But now the caribou hunts they're just harder and harder and harder to get. Like you guys in BC know, like they're shutting down all the opportunities all over.
Yeah, it's a shame.
They're closing down all the grizzly hunts and all the predator hunts, and it's just like, well, why isn't there any caribou? I don't know. Like,
yeah. Where's the science? Where's the science everybody talks about, right? We don't see that.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, you're busy, and we haven't even talked international yet. These are just your North American hunts for 25 and 26. You said, right?
Yeah.
Holy man. All right, well, let's swing back over to the international stuff. I got some questions for you. Maybe I know there's some crossover a little bit in distinction when it comes to the slams on the international side. Like they have, am I wrong in saying this or right? Is there some that can be considered Capra and or Ovis?
There's one species. There's 3 different subspecies of one species. There are the tur that are in Russia and not Azerbaijan. They're both goats and sheep, so they count for both of them. And like they're supposedly those are in the toughest mountains you can hunt. Like they're the steepest and craziest terrain out there. The only one I guess that they say is remotely as hard is like a blue sheep in Nepal. So it's gonna be a hard hunt, and that one I'm supposed to do next year, 2026. There's a couple of us that are gonna go, and it's gonna be a good time and try and get all 3. So into Russia. So you have to go to get into Russia. You have to go to either Dubai or to Istanbul, and then you can fly into Russia and then hunt from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wanted to talk to you about that because I did a Spanish ibex hunt in December in southern Spain, and the outfitter that I went with, he guides. You know, a lot of these guys will obviously, everybody knows this, but they'll jump around country to country and they do, custom client guiding, I guess is what they kind of refer to it as. And he was telling me that despite the political situation and everything that's going on with Russia, he said, if you ever get the chance, you've got to try it. It's the people are amazing. The country's welcoming to hunters, and the hunting is supposed to be just off the hook. Have you been yet? Is this your first time?
I went to Kamchatka. I brought a hunt, and I went to Kamchatka moose hunting, and it was fantastic. Like you said, the people are so nice. From Moscow to where we were hunting on the Pacific coast, it was incredibly far. Everyone just thinks, oh, it's Russia. It can't be that bad. It was like 11 hours and 9 time zones away. So almost a third of the way around the world from Moscow to where we were hunting, just north of Japan. For the moose. They get some of the biggest moose in the world. It's such a massive country that there's so many different opportunities. I think there's 6 or 7 different snow sheep species now that are recognized, and there's lots of different opportunities to go there.
Have you thought about, apart from the tur, have you thought about the snow sheep possibly?
Oh
Something
yeah,
you
I'd
wanna
like
try?
to,
Yeah.
as soon as I get some of these out of the way, then I'll definitely be going and do some snow sheep hunts. Like I have some friends that are outfitters over there, and there's some good deals. Like compared to some of the North American hunts, they're just the values there. Like you can do 3 snow sheep hunts for the price of 1 Dall sheep hunt.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, yeah, that is crazy. And those sheep are amazing too. They're just an
yeah,
incredible animal.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's what my buddy was saying too. He said, like, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, it's great to do, of course, it's great to do the North American sheep, but you can get some incredible mountain adventures in other countries for still, despite the way that things are going with the price of these hunts, you can still get some great deals.
yeah.
Of course, going to Russia is probably not for everybody, but if it's safe, why not, right?
Oh, for sure. Like I'm looking at going next year to Iran for an ibex hunt over there. Like I have
Wow.
friends that I've made over there that are outfitters, and they do these hunts, and there's opportunities to go and hunt some really neat animals in a place like that where it's, if you put the politics aside, it's a beautiful place. Like some of the pictures that they've shown of some of the cities that they have, and the terrain and everything. And I know a few people that have gone there and they've had nothing but good things to say. So it's, you kind of have to, whenever you're going on these trips, like put the politics aside and the assumptions, and keep an open mind, and you'll have a great time. Like when we were in Tajikistan and Dushanbe, like there was no litter, there was no homeless people, there was nobody doing drugs, there was nothing like that. Everything was super clean, it was spotless. They're building like countless sky rises downtown, and it's the growth is there, and they're building all this stuff, so they must have money and some sort of investment on their resources. And it's pretty interesting to see. Like we get this perception from, we're told like, oh yeah, we're doing so good, and then you go over there and it's pretty eye-opening that we would consider a third world country, what they have in a lot of places.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you get in some of these countries, and their life is obviously going to be a lot different than the life we lead over here.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just got to take a minute and just look at the quality of life that these people have too. And in a lot of cases, it's a lot better than what we see over here.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, a couple questions from the folks online here with us. Devin was just wondering if your Tule elk in California was public or was that on private land?
it's a private land one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to find public land anything in California.
Yeah, like if you were to pull a public land tag, you'd be waiting forever to get drawn. Like it was a public land or a private land tag that they actually had a cancellation. So Don put it on Facebook, and I scooped it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. And the Roosevelt, where'd you get your Rosie?
I shot my Roosevelt with Coastal Inlet there, just north of Vancouver, Powell River in that area. I went with those guys. I did it last year. It was again a cancellation hunt. It popped up. Somebody couldn't make it, and the price was right. The timing was good, so I went there and I shot my Sitka, not Sitka, but the Columbia Blacktail as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's great. They got some stud bulls over there too.
They do,
There's
yeah.
some big ones.
Yeah, we were chasing one, and he was just a ghost. He had a big, massive 7 on the one side, and the other side was just a mongoloid. But we've tried finding, catching up to that guy for like 8 or 9 days, and he was just one step ahead of us. And we'd follow him from dawn till dusk, and he would just be that little bit ahead of us, and you'd bump him a little bit, and he'd go a little bit further, and we'd catch up to him, and it was a lot of fun. It's a unique hunting in that rainforest. That's kind of the cool thing about the Super Slam. It's not just the numbers and everything like that. It's all the different experiences. Like that's the biggest thing. It's like, it's not like you're the greatest hunter in the world. Just you've experienced a lot of things that other people haven't, and you're just having basically the recognition that you being to all these places and hunting these different areas, different scenarios, and different terrain.
Well, that was something I was going to ask you. Is if I don't know if you, I'm sure you have, but do you keep track of the amount of days per year in the field? Like you have people that aren't aware. Mark has his own business. He's a successful guy in Alberta. He's busted his ass. He's a fairly young guy considering everything that's under your belt as far as hunting accomplishments and business. So it's not like there's this. I'm not talking to some rich kid who's just sitting here spending his trust fund. This is hard-earned money. How many years a day or days a year are you hunting on average?
Honestly, I don't keep track of that. It's hard. I really haven't thought of that. Like honestly, like I'll work all our hunting season here. Like last November, I think I hunted one day, and I went and helped my buddy. His daughter had a mule deer draw tag here in Alberta. I went and helped them for I think 3 or 4 days, and other than that, I was working, work, so I can go and do these other things. And it's kind of what I've done a bunch. Like if I don't have any draws or anything special here, we had a family farm that my folks sold, and so I don't have trail cameras set up there. I don't got to worry about that. I'm just working and work, and then go and do these hunts further away than kind of what I normally was doing around town or around Alberta here.
Yeah, and it's probably a safe bet to say that there's two components to your life, right? Work and hunting. Yeah, and hunting.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it's double-edged sword. It's like during COVID there when I was lucky enough to go and do all those sheep hunts. I bet you I was working 100 and some plus hours a week when I was back to catch up and be able to go and do the next one. Mm-hmm. And it was like crazy trying to just make it all happen. And burning the candle at both ends and with a blowtorch in the middle. But that's the only way it can make it happen. Like it was what had to be done in order to accomplish the goal. And I was lucky to say I was able to do it. And it wasn't free. It came at a cost, and cost was lots of time. That's the thing.
Well, and like you said earlier, Mark, I mean, you didn't really start getting after it at this level until it was only a few years ago when you really started hitting it hard, and COVID just threw some cold water on your face, and you realize, holy shit, this is a whole new world out there. I got to get after it.
Well, like what a lot of it too is I know so many people that have like passed away, like that are my age. Like I've had friends that have got cancer, and like we'd go and do some hunts. Like we've done some antelope hunts down in Montana. I had one friend that would come with us, and he had such a great time. And then we were planning to go again the next year. And when we were going, he was like, it was just me and him. And day before we were planning on going, he's like, I can't go, I'm sick. I'm like, don't be a pussy. I'm like, come on, let's go. And he's like, no, something's not right. I got to go see the doctor. He said, and ended up he had esophageal cancer. And when he was fighting it, he took a turn for good, and he was getting ahead of it and getting it under control. And he's like, when I beat this, he said, whatever hunt you're going on, book it for 2. He said, no matter what, he's like, if I can't afford it, he's like, I'll borrow the money. But he said, anything that you're doing, he said, I want to come. And he never ever got the chance. About 6 months later, it took a turn for the worse, and he never made it. So it's like, do what you can when you can. Like we only got one life to live, so I can't take the money with me when I die, and I'm financially responsible for the most part, but trying to do all the things that I wish I could have done when I was little. Like it's it's one of those kind of driving things. It's like I never ever thought I'd kill a sheep. Then I got a sheep. Then I never thought I'd do a grand slam. And I got that. Never thought I'd shoot a polar bear and all these other animals and travel the world and do what I've done. And I've been able to do it. So it's like, why not just keep going, accomplish everything that I wanted to ever do, and don't look back.
So how old are you, Mark?
I'm 44. Yeah.
Did you travel before you got the hunting bug? Did you travel internationally much before you got into this?
A little bit, like before, like probably like when I was in my mid-20s, I was buying lots of cars in the States. So like I would travel across the States doing that. And I really enjoyed traveling and seeing the world and seeing different things. And like I said, the journey was almost just as fun as everything else. And it once the hunting kind of part got tied into it, you got to go to all these far off places. Like I never ever thought that I'd go to like Greenland or Pakistan or Turkey and places like that. So being able to go there and experience all these things is really, really, really cool. Like it's when you're flying on the plane and you land, it's just like, all right, this is happening. It's like, we're here. Let's go have a good time and see what we can find. So it's lots of fun.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to somebody, I think it was at one of the dinners at the sheep show, and it's amazing, right? When you sit down and you go to those conventions and those big shows and you get to meet people. And I was just talking to a guy sitting beside me, and he's same thing, his family, he lost quite a few family members to cancer, and those particular members of his family didn't do much. They never left the family farm, and in his case it was a ranch. And he just said, I'm probably going to die with my boots on, but I want to make sure my boots have hit a lot of ground in a lot of countries.
Yeah.
And his story is kind of the same as yours. It's right, like he wanted to just explore the world and do it with a rifle. And it's awesome. And you're right. I mean, things can change on a dime, and before you know it, you don't have any time left, and you wish you did all these cool things. But that's awesome. Just a couple questions. It looks like we got Brian Thompson's just wondering, have you done blacktail on Haida Gwaii?
No, I did the. I don't know if they're considered Columbia or the Sitka. I think they might be Sitka. So I have a hunt booked in Alaska for a Sitka blacktail.
Have you hunted Haida Gwaii at all, though, like for bears or anything?
I haven't.
Okay. And then Brecken's asking where you got your polar bear.
In Nunavut, at a coral harbor. Yeah. I got a good one. It was like 10-2. It was a big sucker.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we're going to get in a couple stories here. I'm curious on the process that you go through. I've asked you a few questions about this before, but you've only got so much time in a year. What's the method to the madness when you're trying to decide what you're going to go after and where? Like, how do you come up with a plan?
I kind of have like an idea on like a whole bunch of different animals that I want to hunt, like say a bunch of different species of ibex, or say like those chur. And then it's basically it's like in a 1 to 3 year window, and then it's like, how can I fit these in? And then a lot of times the opportunities just kind of present themselves. Like someone I'll meet somewhere, say like SCI, or someone will be friends of a friend, and they'll know that I want to go and do a trip, and so will they. So then I'll kind of look into it a little bit more into detail, and then find an outfitter that can offer those hunts, and then go. Like a lot of times too, like say at those auctions, I'll watch the auctions and go through them all and kind of see which ones entice me the most, and then I'll try and get that one, or then I'll book it with one of those outfitters that are having it available, that offer those hunts, I should say. It's hard to, like, I can't really specifically say like I want to go do this, and I have to. It just sometimes, like, you'll see a picture or a video on Instagram, and it's like, that looks really cool. Look into it a little bit more. Okay, can I do this now? Can I do it later? What's the logistics involved in this? What's the money involved in this? And then just like the time and paperwork, etc., like that. So you can kind of plan for when you want to do it potentially. And like I don't have a specific like process of I want to go and do this right now and this right now, this right now. I'll have like a big bundle, and the ones that kind of pop up are the ones that I'll go kind of after.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how, when I think about that question, it'd be kind of hard, impossible to have a real plan. But, one of the members asked a question that I was going to ask too. So you talk about the auctions
Yeah,
and cancellation hunts.
yeah,
Um, I think the cancellation one is it's pretty obvious. That's going to be a good value for dollar
yeah,
on those. But you got to be flexible and ready to rock and know what you're doing,
correct.
right? And then on the auctions, at least in the last couple of auctions that I've been at, you don't necessarily save money, because I don't think, like, a lot of times you might get a bit lower than what it goes for on a retail level. But the ones I've seen, the last couple shows I was at, those auctions are fetching pretty good dollar because it's going for a great cause, right?
Yeah, some of them, and really like the U.S. dollar now, with our Canadian dollar being so weak, is a
Yeah,
determining factor. And then all the guys in the States, they can write off a lot of that money on those auctions. So
sure.
you have to really like know what you're looking for and know the value of what you're trying to go do. And if it goes for too much money, you just let them go, and then
Mhm.
try and find somebody, through either somebody that's hunted with them before, or usually that's the road. Is like, say you're looking at doing a hunt, you want to go do an ibex hunt in Spain. You talk to a person that's gone and who they recommend, and lots of times they'll give you a little bit of a better deal, because you're referred from one of your friends, than if they were to say just randomly shoot them an email and try getting a hunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So do you so if you're cruising the like, you get the online auctions and then you
yeah,
get the in-person ones, and then you participate on the live online auctions, I'm sure, because you can't be everywhere for these
yeah.
shows. Is there a sensible strategy to just like taking notes of the outfitters that continually donate to these shows and then talk to them? Is that something you do as well? Yeah.
There is, and like we've done a few with there's one guy in Spain, his name's Fran Corju. He donates a lot of hunts to a lot of those organizations, and
Hmm.
we did a SETI, and my buddy went back with him and killed Southeastern and a Ronda this year.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's basically making the relationships. You make relationships with these guys, and for one, they'll be your friends, and two, you might get a little bit better opportunity than just some Joe Schmo random guy that's out on the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, yeah, you see that, but the fact that they're giving away hunts is
Yeah,
usually a pretty indicative character trait as well of that person in that group, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it
exactly.
usually tells a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, any tips on that? I guess on the process of selecting your outfitter, like, it goes without saying, check references, blah blah blah, call people. But I mean, even that you got to be a little careful with. But is there any like real red flags when it comes to a discussion with an outfitter?
Well, there's lots of them that like they inflate their numbers in order to charge more money, and it's a shame that lots of guys are doing that. But like, basically the biggest is like looking to talk with all the, like, a bunch of hunters that have gone with them, see what they say, and then ask them if they would ever book a hunt and going back with the same guy. And you can see a lot of guys on some big dollar hunts that have booked and went with one outfitter, and then the next year they're going back and they're not going with the same guy. And it's kind of
Mhm.
indicative on their true kind of feeling about the experience that they had. But like, there's lots of guys that are great resources, like Daryl Hosker, in BC. There, he's hunted everything under the sun. If you think I've killed lots, like that guy,
Oh, I know.
and he's a great guy, and he'll share his knowledge on any subject with you, and he'll tell you what he thinks, and he'll steer you in the right direction. I have a friend, he's hunted everything under the sun as well, and I have about 4 or 5 guys that I talk to. Well, actually, there's a whole bunch, but the more kind of you do these hunts, um, the more people that you know, and like, you'll see people on Facebook that are your Facebook friends, let's say, and
Hmm.
you'll see them going on a hunt, and you ask them how it went, everything like that, and you'll get what they really think and what they really thought, and then they can steer you in the right direction. And then really too, you make friends with them on Facebook or online, and then you go to some of these conventions and you meet them in real life, and it's like they're long lost friends. It's lots of fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can speak to that. I got referred by Alex Sharif for the outfitter in Spain that I went with, and I mean, my hunt was not very long. But it was stellar, and I got a great southern ibex. I was done in 2 hours on the first day. But the outfitter was fantastic, and everything that Alex told me about the guy was dead on, dead nuts. Everything he said, like down to, this is his mannerisms. This is what you might think. He looks grumpy, but he seriously wants to kill you a big ibex. It was like perfect.
Exactly.
And on the flip side of that, and I'm sure you have, this has happened too. I've had the luxury of being able to go on a few guided hunts through work over the years, and I've been flat out ripped off before. Like absolute dirtbag outfitter, just thief. Has that ever happened to you?
I haven't really gotten ripped off, but like I've had experiences where they could have gone better.
Okay.
Yeah, like I should have shot a really big brown bear. No fault on the outfitter, but my guide wasn't the most ambitious, and we seen on the last day of our hunt, we seen a 10-foot plus brown bear. We had him at 200 yards, and he wouldn't let us shoot. Like, it was deader than dead. We had me and 2 guides, and my main guide wasn't comfortable shooting, so he wouldn't let us shoot. And like, this thing was the size of a truck. Like, I told them before, when we're stalking up to this thing, I don't have to be the only person that shoots this thing. Let's just make sure it dies. And we didn't shoot one shot at it. So that's kind of where I'm going back on that same hunt to kind of get the animal that I should have got. But it's the outfitter is fantastic. His area is unbelievable. We've probably seen 70 different brown bears, and we made only kind of 2 stalks, and we never shot at one, and we should have killed a giant one, which is kind of frustrating. It's because it's like you invest a lot of time and a lot of money on these hunts that you expect and hope that someone's gonna kind of put up their end of the deal, basically.
Yeah.
But
well, in my case, I should say, and I wouldn't call it rip-off as much as I would call it drastically misrepresented everything, and find out when you get there too late. But before I forget, do you use hunting consulting companies at all, the booking agents?
not typically, because
No.
I found a lot, like, they're marking up a lot of money. Like, say I went to Tajikistan, there's a couple outfitting companies that book hunts with the outfit that I went with. Like, I ended up going directly with the guys that put on the hunt, and they're marking some hunts up like $20,000.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's more than the booking fee.
Yeah, like for that hunt, they're marking it up astronomically, and they're not even booking your flights for it. Like, they're not hands-on or anything like that. And I don't know, like, a lot of, even there's a few guys there's a bunch of booking agents that are really good, but there are some that are lining the pockets with your money, and I like my money going as far as possible, so I like to ask around. Like, why do I need to work with a middleman when I can go with the guy that's actually doing it and give him a little bit more money?
Yeah, and then when you talk to the outfitter too, a lot of times they're like, the whole booking agent thing. I agree. Some of them have value because, if you don't have the time, time is a luxury. So if you don't have the time, a booking agent, there is some really good companies out there that can point you in the right direction. But I think someone like you is you're grinding it out. You've got such a good network. Why would you, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to jump over. We're going to bounce around a little bit here, but for the last half of the show. But I want to talk about the Tajikistan hunts that you guys just did last year. So you want to start with yours or your buddies, or kind of tell us the whole story?
Oh, so I bought the hunt that I bought from Grand Slam Polo this last year. It was an auction hunt. And it was to Tajikistan for Marco Polo and an ibex. It was fantastic. Like my expectations of that hunt were way up here, and it exceeded everything that I ever thought. Like we landed in Dushanbe. There's a VIP area there. You have to pay like $50, but they take care of everything. They get all your paperwork taken care of. They get your rifles. They get your luggage and everything all through. Everything's super fast, and then away you go. And it was like a 23-hour drive from Dushanbe to where our camp was. So we left at like 3 a.m, and we drove till I believe 8 p.m, and we ended up in this city called Karag, and we stayed there overnight. And then I believe it was 8 hours or so from there up the mountains into where our camp was. And it's so interesting going there. Like you're driving down that river that borders Afghanistan, and it's you're not in Kansas anymore. So it was really neat. It was like that area that you drive, it's where a lot of where the Markhor are living. So it's neat trying to look around, try finding the animals and seeing where they're living and how close the people are and how they would be interacting and everything. And like just driving down those roads, like basically it's the new Silk Road from the old Marco Polo trade days, and China is financing Tajikistan to build this paved road now so they can move all their goods from China to like Central Asia. And they have semis on these dirt trail roads that are like you'd barely drive your pickup truck on, and they have like 18 wheelers hauling 15 cars through there, and they're blasting half of this mountain off trying to make the road a little bit wider. And yeah, it's really cool. And like there's lots of places even on this new road that they're building that they found that if we bore right through the middle of this mountain, it's faster and more efficient than building a road along the river. So they have stretches where they have tunnels that are like multiple miles long.
Wow.
Save time and money compared to building a road. It's crazy. So that's really neat, like the civil engineering side, and like just how they do things so much different than here. And then like when we got to our camp, everything was top notch. It was just we were hunting it around, our camp was around 16,000 feet, and we were hunting a little bit lower than that, from like 15 to 16,000 feet typically. It had just snowed. There's about maybe 8 inches to a foot of snow, so a lot of the animals were all pushed down. And when we would go out looking for animals, it was not uncommon to see 1,000 sheep in a day.
Jeez.
Like
how did you sorry, Mark, how did you climatize to that altitude? Did you do some training?
There's a drug that you can get from your doctor. It's called Diamox, and it's for high altitude sickness. It prevents it, and it worked fantastic. I was hunting with 2 Spanish guys, and the one of them, he was sick the first day from altitude sickness. He took it, and it was about 6 to 8 hours. He was feeling fine. I took it when we were driving. That's what I heard. They said take it a couple of days in advance, and I had no symptoms of altitude sickness or anything like that. Beer is definitely thinner, but it wasn't as big. Well, it wasn't like the altitude sickness wasn't a factor, but it was really neat. Like when we got there, they were just finishing up a survey and of all the sheep and stuff like that in their area, and they were saying that in their area alone, they counted 10,800 sheep in just their hunting area alone. So
Seriously.
like the number of animals is mind blowing. Like you'd stop and you'd be like, oh, there's a bunch of sheep, and you'd look at them from about 3-4 miles away, and you're like, oh, there's like 100, and maybe 30 or 40 are rams, and you'd be looking at them, and the guides would look too. They're like, yeah, 53, 54 inch, no good, too small, let's go. And okay, like, they're like too small. No, we'll go find big ones. Okay, but you'd stop and you'd look and you just see all these sheep, and You figure you got one big one out of there, and they're like, no, that big one there, 54. No, not big. Let's go. And off you go looking for the ones that they kind of like. They have 10,800 sheep in their area, so they want you to shoot the biggest ones you can find.
Sure.
Like they
So,
don't.
what was your mode of transport on, like, when you were actual hunting? Were you horseback then?
No, we were like in Tajikistan. Most of the time, you're getting around is with vehicles. So like the valleys are so big and so wide that you can drive all the way through them. You get to the end, you go up a little ridge, and then you're in the next one.
Okay.
So like it's vehicle traffic, and really from our camp to the spot where I shot my sheep was about a 2-hour drive.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you're on horseback,
Yeah, no doubt.
Not a big
What
fun.
would you, is there any North American terrain that you could, apart from altitude, you could compare it to? Like any, would it remind you of anything? Was it like?
No, it was just so unique and different. Like the valleys were just so wide. Like they would be 6-7 miles wide, not a tree, just grass and rocks. And then they would go straight up to a mountain. But like if you follow that valley, there was always a way out. Like there would always be a way out where you could continually just keep driving into the next spot. But like you'd hit the jagged, the rockier stuff, and you'd see that's where the ibex, I would say, typically would be hanging out. And in more of the rolling hills, you'd find the sheep. But like with all the snow that we had, it pushed a lot of the animals down. So a lot of them were closer to the bottom and stuff like that. So the sheep would be anywhere. And like when there's that many, like it's just impressive to see. Like you just see so many. Like there's like 100 over there. Oh, you look down further the valley. Oh, there's more over there. And it was just crazy to see that volume of animals in those areas and how they live. Like there isn't much for them to eat, and then there's domesticated yaks in there. There's wild yaks in there eating too, and just such a high amount of density of animals living in the same space that it's amazing how they can all survive.
And it's and I'm assuming that there's not a lot of human presence there, right? Like I'm assuming farmers, ranchers, I guess.
They had basically it's the guys hunting, and then you had all the local yakkers. So there would be, you go into, like they would just push the yaks. They'd have herds of yaks, and they would just move them from one valley to the next. And they had mud brick shacks in every valley basin. There was a few of them, and they would just move from place to place to place to place with their herding their animals. And it was the nomadic lifestyle that those people live. Like people here have no comprehension of what these people would be going through. Like it would be minus 45 in the morning, and you'd see there'd be usually 6 to 8 of them, usually with all the herds of yak, and they would be out in the morning looking for their animals, walking around, and they would be staying in huts that are just heated by yak dung. Like there's no wood to burn, anything like that, and it's freezing cold. And these people are out here with their animals, and that's what they do.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So what species of capra and ovis are there in Tajikistan, in the area you were in?
You can hunt. They have the Madisoni Argalis and the Marco Polos, and then the Bukharan and the Pamir Ibex.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you were after Argali on this trip?
Yeah, a Marco Polo and 2 Ibex. So I shot the Marco Polo. Mine was like just under 60 inches, and I shot two Ibex as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
That was a lot of fun. And the Marco Polos are the big typical twist down, and the Madisonis have heavier bases, and they're shorter. They're a lot shorter. I bet if we looked at some of those herds of sheep that we were looking at and just passing quickly, there was probably a few in there that we would have seen, but they weren't the big twisty ones we were looking for, so we didn't really stick around.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't imagine them. Those numbers are insane. So was it you and your buddy together,
They were
or
friends that I met on that hunt? Like,
so you went solo, basically?
I went solo. Yeah, and just met up with these guys there, and the Spanish guys that I was hunting with. super awesome guy. We actually, before we even left, we booked dates for going back. So we're going back this year, 1 week later than when we were there this time, and we're going back and doing it again.
Same animals? Just repeat?
I'll probably just do a sheep. I don't know if I'm going to shoot a Matasoni or another Marco Polo. Like the gentleman from Spain that I was hunting with, he's very well off, and he had his sheep and an ibex down fairly quick. And we were chatting, and he's like, "Mark, what you think? Should I shoot another animal?" I'm like, "Well, you can afford to, man. Well, why not?" He's like, "You're right.
Exactly.
The weather is good, conditions are good, animals are good, and we're here. So why not?" So he went, and the next day he shot a Marco Polo, and he's like, "I got one." He shot it, hit it pretty good, and it ran up one ridge, down the backside, across the valley, up another one, down, and then went up another ridge, and they had to come back, get a different truck, and then the guys went back and they got it. They tracked it and they got it. And when they brought that thing back and opened up the door, my jaw hit the ground. Like, it was like 17 plus inch bases and 63 inch long, ridiculous, like world class Marco Polo. I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "You shot a giant." He's like, "I think I did." I'm like, "That's amazing." So yeah,
wow.
we had a great time, and like we become friends. He wants me to actually come chamois hunting with him in March, so I might end up going there. I can get away. He lives in Barcelona, and he wants me to come down there, come visit him. And he's like, "Don't worry." He's like, "I have lots of rifles. You just come and we take care of you. We have fun."
Oh, the Spaniards are a blast, man. They're fun people.
Yeah, Spain, fantastic.
So what? I'm very curious. So you've had lots of sheep ribs over fires, I'm sure, in North America. How did that? How did the Marco Polo taste in comparison?
It was good, but like the different cooking methods, like over there, there's no fires, so like they boil a lot of the meat and everything like that, but none of it goes to waste over there, and the food over there was fantastic. Like, I can't say anything bad about it. Like, they had so many. They had a chef that was supposedly, I guess, from one of the nicest hotels in Dushanbe, was the chef at the lodge, and it was good. Like, the food was fantastic. Nothing was ever like, "Ooh, what's that? It's not good." It was all fantastic. But you're such high elevation that water even boils at like 65 degrees. So everything kind of takes a little bit more to cook, and like you don't have propane, you don't have natural gas, stuff like that. So heating is all geothermal. So like there was a hot springs at that camp, so everything was run off of that. So like all the buildings were heated off of that. All the
wow.
Like, they had a big, huge shop for all the vehicles because it was so cold that they would park them inside there, and all that was heated with the water. Everything was heated with the hot springs water, and it was really, really, really neat. Like, even like the skulls they had for cleaning all the skulls, like they had their own designated building for all the hides. Like, they had a building for cleaning the animals and skinning them. And then once the hides are all skinned, they had a shack for salting them that was all heated by water, so they could make sure that everything was cured 100% perfect. Then they had a big, huge brick, basically water tank that they would put all the skulls in, and they would come out spotless, like absolutely clean, like the most professional Euros I've ever seen. And they would do that all within a day when you shot your ram. So it's like everything is treated and taken care of like top notch, like salted 3 times, and then everything was all bundled up. Everything's all tagged. So it's like, this is your ibex right here, this is your other ibex, and this is your sheep. And there was just piles of hides, everything was all cured perfectly. Like the ears and lips and everything were turned perfect, and
Sure.
so you don't have to worry about your hides going bad or anything. So everything is all just done top notch. That you just have no worries, and yeah, just because there's lots of horror stories of guys getting the wrong animals back. The capes aren't good. They lose like all the hair will slip when they bring them back. Stuff like that, and like everything was there top notch, and they were been doing it for I believe 30 years or 35 years. They've had that camp, so they have all the experience and the knowledge, and they know what everyone expects of them. And yeah, the amount of hunters that go through there, they kind of have to have it dialed in, or there'll be lots of complaints. But it was fantastic.
How long is their season? Do you know? How long are they hunting?
I believe it starts in October, and then it goes till I think the end of February.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they turn a lot of guys through. I mean, they got a lot of sheep, I would think. I mean, I guess it's all based on quota or whatever. Yeah, I was gonna say.
You get 40 permits a year, and that's it. Like I think the whole country has 80, somewhere in the 80s amount of export permits that are available, and they had 40 at that camp. So they want you to shoot the biggest animals. It's not like they want you, oh, there's one, kill it. They want you to kill a big one because those animals might not live. They have snow leopards, they have lots of wolves out there, and just the conditions that those mature rams might not make it. And plus the area is so big and there's so many, you might never find them again. So when they see a big one, they want to get them. Yeah, they're not waiting for somebody to come like, oh, we're going to, the typical, oh, it's a guided hunt that, oh, they got this one tied up to a tree for somebody.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah, not there. No.
So aside from an auction, if someone was to just book a hunt, what's the ballpark budget look like for, say, for Marco Polo today? What's those hunts going for?
You can do it for like the high 40s.
Okay. That's
For
US dollars?
IBEX, yeah, US dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think about it, that's actually a pretty good value. Is that a combo with an IBEX, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad, actually.
No.
Take the exchange rate out of the question.
Yeah, exchange rate out of the question, or like if you're looking at booking a hunt in the North American one, like you're looking at booking a bighorn hunt in Alberta for 95 grand.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go to Tajikistan tomorrow over doing a bighorn hunt in Alberta for sure. Like it's just the values there, and it's just an experience. The whole experience is there.
Do you happen to know what, just if you just went for IBEX, like say that
Marco, I believe for about $8,000 in Tajikistan.
That's a great deal. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the same price for an IBEX in Spain, 8 or 9 grand US, you know, depending who you're with.
And it's any size.
Yeah,
there's no size restrictions because the IBEX are the same as the sheep. There's lots of them, but you might not find them ever again. Like you'll see one, they're not going to tie it up to a tree, and those things will just bugger up off the mountain, go over, and you might not find them ever again. Especially if someone shoots at them, they could go who knows where. Yeah,
and it's interesting too when you start looking at these different hunts, the range of difficulty can vary substantially, and the challenges are different in every country. Before I forget, what's the timeline on getting your trophy back to North America from there?
The CITES permit they said it takes 3 to 4 months. So I shot mine in December. I imagine probably end of March, end of April, I'll get notice that it's all ready to go, and then they'll ship it back here.
Yeah. And you're getting the taxidermy done in Alberta?
Yeah.
You must keep a taxidermist pretty busy, huh?
I got a couple guys that I use, and they like me when I call.
I was gonna say, you just keep them on retainer. just keep stuffing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna a couple of questions for you on the international side, and I would have bet money that Brecken was going to ask the gun question, but I happen to know your gun system. Maybe you could explain a little bit to the group what your rifle system is and how you change it depending on where you're going.
Yeah, like what I did a few years ago is I bought one custom action. It was a Bighorn Zermatt action from Gary Eakin in Houston there. And I got him to get 5 different calibers chambered to that action. So I can switch it between all those calibers. I can switch the bolt faces. So it can go anywhere from a 22 Creedmoor up to a 338 short mag, Sherman short. And it's fantastic. So off of that, I ended up buying 2 more different actions. So I have the TL3, the SR3, and the titanium one. So I can configure those 5 barrels between those 3 actions, and I have 4 different stocks and 5 different scopes that I can swap them all around for any application that I'm doing. So say I'm going on a sheep hunt to the Yukon, I can put my 6.5 caliber, 6.5 Sherman short barrel on. I know I have the load that already. It doesn't change between any of the actions. Pop it in a lightweight stock, put a lighter weight scope on it, and away I go. Say like the one in Tajikistan, I took my 300 short mag. I have a Gunworks stock, so I put a Magnus stock, I put it in that. And then I have a Swarovski DS scope, which has all the ballistics in it. Just because I don't know the language situation, anything like that. When you're looking at a herd of, say, potentially like 40 different rams, which one you shoot. And then if they move, you just push the button on that DS and it gives you your holdover adjustment, boom, instantly banged up. So I took that on that hunt and it was worked out good, really good.
So how many Sherman calibers are you running?
I have 2. I have the 338 and the 6.5, and then I have a 300 WSM. One of the other barrels that I have is a 6 GT, which would be fantastic for shooting like ibex and animals like that. It's just incredibly accurate, but it's shooting the 6mm bullets. Then I have a 22 Creed, which shoots lights out as well, and it's like good for any kind of like predator hunts that I'm doing around here. Say like antelope down in the States, wherever you can shoot a 22 cal. Yeah.
How long have you been shooting the Creed, the 22?
I think it's since COVID. I think I got it around 2020, and it shoots really good. Like that 22 Creed, it puts those high BC bullets going out real fast, and it's just it's crazy accurate. And there's no recoil with that 6 GT or a 22 Creed. Like you can shoot those all day long. It's really good too for like just practicing, like going to the range and just
Trigger
focus
time,
on things, and just working on your form. And those calibers are awesome, and they're just like they're incredibly consistent and they're incredibly accurate.
And you hand load, obviously.
Yeah.
For those calibers, yeah. Do you take? What's it like traveling? I know the answer, but what's it like traveling with hand loads? Some countries have some questionable concerns over ammunition. You ever run into issues?
No, not typically not. Like I haven't had for say those Shermans, I made sure that I have ones that are head stamped for the
brass
barrel that I have. So it's not like they're gonna see a 338 one and one says 338, the other says 6.5, because then you run into the language issue trying to explain it to the customs guy what's going on. But typically, like say if I'm gonna go overseas or somewhere like that, I'm gonna potentially bring like my 300 short mag, where if by some chance I need ammo, there's at least a chance of finding it. I haven't had any issues with like something not showing up yet, so knock on wood. But it's kind of worst case scenario, you can at least deal with it.
All right, that leads me to my next question. So when you're transporting your gear for travel, obviously the rifle's going in its own case.
Yep.
What are you packing your ammunition in in your basic luggage then in a locked container, or how do you do that?
Like some allow you to put it in your luggage. Some it's got to be separate. Like when I was going to Tajikistan, it had to be in its own separate locked container. So I have
Okay.
I bought a Pelican case.
Big one, yeah.
I threw it in there. Yeah, yeah.
hmm Um, what's your clothing system look like? Do you have a multiple layered system, one brand, or what do you do?
I have a lot of the Kuyu gear, and it's just like for going to Mexico +30 to going to Tajikistan -40, it works good. They have something that you can use. Like it's lighter weight too than say some of the other brands. So even when you're packing your luggage, if you can save a few pounds of weight and don't make it oversized, it ends up saving you some money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have that burner jacket. I took that there, and that was overkill. Even I had the Gale Force in Tajikistan. I had the Gale Force system, the pants, the jacket, and that was perfect. That was good. Even hiking around, we were gearing down to just like kind of mid-layer shirts, and off we went. But it was like during the day it would be -10, -15, but at night it got cold quick.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have enough layers. Better to have too many layers than not enough, right?
Yeah, and
So,
really, sorry, a lot of that gear too, you can wear like the same pair of pants for a week.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to a fashion show, so like you can wear the same pair of pants for 5-6 days, and you don't need to pack like 2 bags just of camel and hunting gear.
yeah, it's interesting. It's something I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole. And for my work travel, I do my international trips, and I just take a small little. I've got a little Kafaru duffel bag that fits in the overhead,
Yeah.
and depends on the hunt. Something like Tajikistan, obviously, I'd pack a bag because I need bigger layers. But I went to South Africa last year, and between vacation and hunting, we were gone 3 weeks, and I lived out of a duffel bag, and my wife went with a carry-on. And I've run a lot of Kuyu gear as well, and I just went with solids, stuff that I'd wear every day. So that when I'm not hunting, I can wear the solids.
Yeah.
And you can get away with that. You can actually pack a lot lighter. People do, if you don't travel internationally enough, people sometimes tend to make that mistake of taking too much stuff, right? It's pretty easy to do. Yeah, it's easy to do. It's like going on your first backpack sheep hunt. That pack will be 90 pounds when it should only really be 60.
Yeah.
So you learn that quick.
Yeah. Lots of solids in the last while. Like most of the stuff that I buy now, it's all solids because you can multi-use it. And like lots of situations you don't need the camel. It's good to have if you have it, but you can get so much more use if you have solids. You can use it for anything.
Yeah, and exactly. And if the solids are, good solids, browns, for example, I mean, you're going to see brown everywhere. You're going to blend in.
Yeah.
What do you take? Like, what's the gear that's with you on the airplane that hunting gear wise? I think I know the answer, but what would you say is always got to be with you on the plane when you go on these trips?
I take my optics with me. I have a Swarovski for say hunts like Tajikistan and like going desert sheep hunts, stuff like that. I have a BTX Swarovski spotting scope with a 95 mil objective, and that goes everywhere, and that stays in my backpack. So it'll be all my optics, like binoculars, all that stuff. I'll usually carry a change of clothes in my carry-on bag too. That's just even knowing, like, say, flying through Istanbul. You'll be going 2 flights to go Edmonton, Toronto, or Vancouver, Toronto, and then over to Istanbul. And one of the lounges, if you got a layover, one of the lounges.
Sure.
So you go have a shower, change your clothes, get refreshed, you feel a million times better. And then you just wait for your next flight to wherever you're going from there. And it's just, you're way more comfortable. You feel a million times better. And it just, I found that helps, like the jet lag stuff as well too, that if you're more comfortable, then you can have a better nap and get acclimatized to where you're going a lot easier.
For sure. Have you hit that Turkish Airlines lounge in the Istanbul airport, the new one?
It's good. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's the only airline lounge I've been to that has a movie theater and 7 restaurants in it.
Yeah, it's kind of good. That whole airport is fantastic. Like if you
It's
have to
insane.
spend time, that's the one to spend time in. And really, too, they
Yeah,
offer like tours of the city. Like if you have a
yeah,
layover of like 8-9 hours, they have like a free tour of the city. You can go
yeah.
check out so many sites, and Istanbul's a fabulous city. They have the Blue Mosque, they have the Hagia Sophia, they have the Grand Bazaar. It's just
Yeah, the
so
bazaar.
see, and it's just the food is fantastic there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Turkish bazaar. You'll come home with some stuff for sure if you go there. What on your on the trophy transport and stuff? Taxidermy. Obviously, you're doing your taxidermy locally here, right? Like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah. It just the shipping of the animals, like with that shoulder mount and stuff, would be a lot of money from overseas, and a lot of the taxidermy too, just the quality and the way they do it, like for say the Asian hunts and stuff like that, you'll get
Yeah.
better quality over here. I know
Yeah, and I
Africa.
think
Yeah,
Africa's a little different. Yeah, those taxidermists over there. I mean, that's all they do, and they do tens of thousands, right? And
yes,
I think it's. And I talked to Nolan Wanup about it because he did a big trip. He had over 20 some animals come back from South Africa. And, I don't think it's necessarily saving you a ton of money at the end of the day with the shipping, unless you send it by boat versus by air freight. But
correct.
the quality of your African trophies, in that case, I think it's worth it. And
Yeah,
I would say, just from the limited knowledge I have from talking to people like yourself, you're better off shipping the rest of it home, and from other countries and getting it here. I'm curious though, what do you use? I know of in Vancouver, we have a company called Ron's Wildlife Services for importing. Who do you
yeah.
use to bring your stuff into the country?
Lots of times I use Talent. Dale Warren here in Edmonton, Talent Distribution. He's really good. Another guy that's doing lots of it right now is Ryan White in Moose Jaw. His company,
Saskatchewan.
yeah, he has
Right
Orion
now.
Taxidermy, and they have Rigel. I believe it's Transporter. It's Rigel, I believe, was what it is, and they're doing a lot of importing of animals. The biggest thing is like where they land. If those animals are landing in Toronto, you can end up paying a lot of money in storage fees while they sit there and wait for them to get inspected. And it's just
Mhm.
it's a pain in the ass. Like I have one friend, he hunts all over the world, and he had a sea can come back from Africa, and I think the storage fees in Toronto were almost $20,000 waiting for them to
I've
get
heard
inspected.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's, yeah, it just depends on, there's a couple factors. I can't remember. My agent here in Vancouver was saying too that and there's a lack of inspectors, which
yes.
leads to part of the problem, right? There's not very much staff.
Well,
And
they're
so
all
that
working.
stuff sits. Exactly. Exactly.
It's not safe to go back yet.
No, gosh, no, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're cruising on time. I want to ask you a couple more questions here. We got to get another story. What's your craziest international hunting experience so far to date?
I haven't had too many crazy ones. Like, kind of the craziest things that I think we've done is like when I was in Pakistan, I told my guide, I'm like, okay, let's go see what this traffic's like. And he's like, are you crazy? I'm like, yeah, I want to see what the traffic's like in Islamabad during rush hour. He's like, no, we don't want to go do this. I'm like, yeah. Hop in the car, and after about 10 seconds, I'm like, seatbelt on. It was interesting. Yeah. But like, I haven't had any crazy horror stories or anything like that. Nowhere on any of the hunts that I've gone where I've ever felt threatened or unsafe or anything like that. It's been like you go to a lot of these countries too, and you have this Muslim kind of mystique, but they've all been fantastic. Like everyone's more than open with their whole country. Like everything, they're glad to show it off, and they're proud of their countries, and they're happy to see foreigners there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you've been safe so far. I mean, all these adventures, I think the craziest things for me on international travel were in taxis. And
Yeah.
just trying to stay alive in the backseat of some crazy taxi driver's car. So on your taxidermy, where are you putting all this stuff, man? Do you build a wing, a barn or something, or what are you going to do?
The one friend that had that sea can that has like 20, it was the big bill. He's building a museum
Okay.
outside of town here, and he's like, just put it in my museum if you don't know where it can go. I'm like, oh, don't tell me this. But yeah, I have a lot of a lot of ibex, unless they're special ones. I'm doing euros and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah, like it's hard. Like if you're doing shoulder mounts for everything or life size, you run out of space really quick. Like my stone sheep's life size, my polar bear's life size, and then I have a red stag. And I got lots of animals. Lot more to go too.
So that's the thing. You've got the stuff in the pipeline coming. I've got some stuff headed my way too. And our house, this is not our forever home. We're going to be building a place here in a few years, but there's going to be a log jam of taxidermy at my house too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Might have to borrow some museum space from your friend. Hey Mark, what's the most important piece of gear for you that goes absolutely everywhere, every trip?
That's kind of like not like your rifle or anything like that. I bring my tripod. I have a really right stuff tripod that I can use for any kind of shooting. Like it's super strong, heavy duty. I've made shots on it. Like it's a mobile shooting bench, mobile platform for shooting, and like I can use it on my spotting scope, whatever. But I have Arca rails on the bottom of all my rifles, and I can mount it right into that tripod, and you can shoot confidently really, really, really far. Like I shot a mountain goat this year in BC off of that at 1,060 yards.
No shit. That's a long poke, dude. Holy man.
I was smoking 2 shots, bang, bang. Like probably within 4 inches of each other. And yeah, like it's super, super sturdy. And you can shoot standing up really far. You can create a very stable shooting platform with a backpack, it's high elevation, shooting downhill. Any situation, it comes in handy. Like I don't go anywhere without that thing.
It's funny you mentioned that. I just got a package. We're bringing Spartan Precision on board as a brand partner here, and Rob Gearing sent me a package of stuff to try out this year on my sheep hunt. And I was playing around with their mounting system, and basically I've always ran their bipods, which I like because they're quick and they're magnetic and they pop in and out, right? It's real easy. But he sent me all the optics mounts for my spotters and my binos and the rifle, and like you got trekking poles that you can use for legs on the tripod. And I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I'm going to play around with this in the field and practice with it. And people shooting with a tripod versus bipod is something that's really starting to progress. A lot more guys are doing that now.
Yeah. Well, like I can shoot mine standing up straight up and down. Like in like the Yukon and areas like that where there's ground cover, you can't lay down and go prone. Like you have to shoot down. Yeah, you have to improvise, and having something like that makes life so much easier. Like you can have it set up so that all you got to do is deploy the legs out and click it in. You can have it ready to shoot in about 2 seconds. And it's so steady and so sturdy that it's something that I bring everywhere. Like without a doubt, I got a spot for it in my gun case cut out for it, and it goes everywhere.
It's with the gun. It tells the story right there.
Yeah.
What's your go-to bullet when you're hand loading?
I shoot lots of burgers. Like I've had really good luck. Yeah. Like I shot that mountain goat at 1060 with a 300 WSM 220X burger bullet. I've gone away from trying to push for high velocity. I've backed it back to reasonable velocities with very high consistency. And you go 1 node or 2 even from kind of where you find pressure, and it's just super incredibly consistent. Like I have a full half grain on either side of my load where the velocity doesn't move 3 feet per second. So it's super sturdy, super stable. And I've used H4350 temp stable powder. I know what that bullet's doing every time, and I can take aim at something 500-600 yards away, and I know it's dead.
Yep. Yeah, my old man used to tell me accuracy trumps velocity, and the animal doesn't give a shit how fast that bullet's going, you know.
Yeah.
And as long as you respect, I like to build my rifle systems as far as the loads go. I like to hand load from the you know, backwards to forward, kind of like building a house. Pick your, you know, what's your move-in date. So I'll look at what's my effective shooting range, right? And personally, I don't want to shoot anything beyond 600.
Yeah.
So then I look at, okay, what's my, you know, what velocity do I need to drive that bullet to make its optimal impact velocity at 600? All right, that's what I need. Then I build from there. And, you know, I post a lot of my hand loading stuff on the Spike Camp platform. And I've had guys say, well, why didn't you ring out a little more velocity? Well, it's like, you know, I'm shooting 5 shots under, you know, under an inch in one group, and I'm getting 1,800, 2,000 feet, or, you know, 2,000 pounds of energy, or feet per second, sorry, 2,000 feet per second at 600 yards. I've got everything I need.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you. And that's a good tip on that for hand loaders going internationals. Make sure you're checking your temp stability on your powder.
Exactly.
Good
There's
tip.
N570, everyone pushes that. That one's really popular, but it's not very good in cold conditions. Like they put a thing out on their website, like below minus 20-ish. They're like, it's not the best. Like they have hang fires. But it's just, I've gone with a heavier for caliber bullet. I've had really good luck with those bullets expanding at lower velocity, and they're quotation target bullets, but they're so long and you're shooting them, you're not driving at 4,000 feet per second, that bullet's able to expand and stay together, and it crumbles. Like I've shot my Roosevelt at about 20 yards, and it boom, went down like a sack of hammers. And I've shot stuff like it. I shot that mountain goat there at 1060. I shot one desert bighorn at 900. I shot one last year at 700, and it lights out, like boom, down, out for the count, like just folds them.
So it's the Burger Match you're using?
Yeah, like the hybrid ones typically, like the hybrid targets.
The hybrid, yeah.
Hybrid targets had good luck, but I've also, like, I shot some animals and they've had a big hole in them and they've got up and walked away, and it's just like, what the heck's going on? But
yeah,
freak things happen when you just shoot again.
yeah, for sure.
But
like,
had good luck.
What is your you've tried a lot of game meat from around the world. What's the meal that sticks in your mind the most as your favorite in the field game meal?
Sheep ribs is good. Like thin horn sheep ribs is fantastic. Yeah. Muskox is excellent. The Thule elk that I shot down in California was really good. They were eating acorns like for a couple of weeks beforehand. So it's like Jamon in Spain.
That's all cured.
So they're just primo.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some of the best ones. Like elk's really good. I really like elk. But yeah, that muskox is fantastic, and ribs over a fire can't really beat that.
All right, last question in the little rapid fire section here. If you're looking at the North American wildlife conservation model, which you've killed 23 of the species of the 29. How do you compare that? How does North American model stack up against some of the other countries out there from conservation perspective?
The biggest one is like the North American model allows for, I think, like residents to hunt. Like you go to a lot of these overseas countries, the residents aren't hunting. Like
they're not allowed to. Yeah,
they're not allowed to. Like say in Spain, like there's areas that are owned, and these animals cost this much money, etc. You go to Tajikistan, like anyone hunting there that's not a foreigner, they're poachers. Like there's opportunities to do this hunting in North America, whereas overseas there really isn't. That's what I found the biggest thing is. And some areas, like on the other side of that, like there's some areas that have a exceptionally high amount of animals because people can't really hunt them in some of those places overseas. Like Turkey, there's a lot of animals. Pakistan, same thing. But it's just in North America here, we're fortunate that we have those opportunities to hunt animals on private land or public land at a reasonable, extremely cheap actually, amount of money. Like in BC, you guys can hunt stone sheep. Alberta, we can hunt bighorns here, where there's other people that are paying a lot of money for that same opportunity, and a lot of people don't realize that and appreciate those opportunities that we have.
Yeah, great point. When you think about it in that perspective, you go to some of these countries and, the hunting industry and the guiding industry in that country is driving the economy more so than almost anything. Case in point would be South Africa, right? I mean, you look at it there. I mean, you just have going to some of those little small towns, and it's 95% of the economy is based on hunting.
Yeah.
Where, the North American model, it's more recreation is where it started.
Yeah.
And I think it was, can't remember if it was, I think it was my, the guide in Spain. Yeah. I asked him how many ibex he shot, and he's like, none.
Yeah.
But I've guided like 75, but I've never shot one because I'm not allowed to.
Yeah.
Right. Like you just can't afford the permit.
Yeah. Like they have a high value on those animals. And it works for those countries. Like Spain, they manage all the animals by age and by size. And you have a tag for, say, a bronze medal one. There is a professional gamekeeper that is managing that national park or wherever you're at. And they say, not the big one. You shoot the fourth one from the left, and that's yours.
Yeah.
Unless you want to pay a lot more money, and they're all valued per centimeter over there. And you shoot a big one, it's going to cost you a lot more money.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Well, I love that answer, man. That's good. Yeah, it just reminds us how lucky we are as residents in the country that we live in to be able to hunt the way we do. So I left room for this question, thinking this might be a couple minutes long, but what are your hunting plans for this year?
Doing all those hunts for the North American stuff, trying to get as much of that Super Slam done as possible. Gonna go back to Tajikistan, do that hunt. I got a couple of friends from here coming, and then I have a friend from Alaska who I helped get a walrus and a polar bear, and then one of his friends who owns a big rifle manufacturing company wants to come along too. And then I'm kind of winging it. If there's some opportunities that come up, like potentially going to Iran, depending on the political thing, that would be really cool. And then just seeing what comes up. Like if I can go, like say even right now, like I work outside in my company. We have a utility construction company, and right now the weather's not good. So if I can bugger off when the weather, say, is -30 for a week, well, that's the ideal time to go when I'm not making any money. So
yeah, exactly.
Mexico or something like that. I have a friend or two that want to go down to Mexico and get their desert bighorns next year. So I'll probably end up going down on one or two of those. And yeah, just maybe I won't be going on as many as the hunter or the shooter, but I'll be definitely taking part in a few and gonna try and enjoy it.
Awesome. Sounds like fun. Well, we'll have to get you on in a few months and check in
sure.
and see.
Yeah, I like these podcasts. They're lots of fun.
Yeah, the live streams are fun, aren't they? Especially when you get the guests on and the members get to interact. Yeah. Who knew that people would want to sit and listen to us talk, eh, Mark?
Exactly.
Awesome, buddy. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Mark, thanks again for taking the time. It's always a pleasure having you on. And like I said, I just love reaching out, finding out where you're at, and texting you. And, good luck with all those slam quests, man. I'm jealous.
Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, anytime, I'm more than happy to come back on here and shoot the shit and have fun. And well, there's even cams on here.
Oh yeah, Mr. Foss, he's on here quite a bit. He loves him.
Yeah, he killed a big Null sheep up in Alaska last year. He's a mountain killing machine, that guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what? The Spike Camp roster is it's got some assassins in this club, let me tell you.
Yeah, oh for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, one last thing. We've got a little unfinished business. Blake did draw a name out of our guests tonight who are submitting questions. Mr. Brian Thompson, I think you're coming to Penticton. Swing by the booth, and I've got some coffee for you. Also, just a reminder to everybody, this weekend we got the Wild Sheep Society of BC show up in Penticton. There, if you want to listen to experienced hunters, that's the place to go. The lineup this year of speakers is just unbelievable. There's so many good speakers, so many different topics. Make sure you come and check it out. Great presentations. There's a couple of banquets. There's going to be a boatload of raffles, auctions, and a very big trade expo. This is like the mini version of the sheep show in Reno, and it's just growing. So if you're up there, make sure you stop by. Spike Camp has a booth. We'll be looking forward to meeting all you guys up there. So thanks, everybody, and be safe. Thanks again, Mark. Have a good night, buddy. Thanks all.